everything that I believed about how the corporate world and how it's supposed to work. You go to work for a company and you do everything that you're supposed to, and you build your retirement, and then you retire and you have the life that you're supposed to have. Unfortunately, when the bankruptcy happened, I lost a large amount of stock. I took a 60% pay cut, and I lost my retirement.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Helping with Dr. Richard Schuster. Food for the brain, knowledge from the experts, tools to win at life. I'm your host, Dr. Richard. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, and whatever you do, this is the show that is going to help you become the best version of yourself. Each episode, you will hear from some of the most amazing, talented, and successful people on the planet who followed their passions and strive to help others. Join our movement to get 1 million people each day to commit acts of kindness for others. Together, we're going to make the world a better place. Are you ready? Because it's time for your Daily Helping. Hello, and thanks for tuning into this latest episode of the Daily Helping podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Richard, and we have a treat for you today. Our guest is really fantastic. Vince Kramer is an airline pilot and military veteran who brings a unique experience to the world of self-improvement and purpose-driven growth. His past experience in a stereotypically macho field brings a more integrated perspective to the softer field of personal growth not often seen. As a speaker, trainer, best-selling author of Mastering the Art of Success, which he co-authored with Jack Canfield, Vince's distinct combination of experience, education, and research helps him develop powerful talks, workshops, and online training in finding happiness and success by living life by their design. Vince passionately believes everyone is unique and the creator of their own life. It is his desire to inspire and empower men, women, organizations, and families to find success and happiness by designing and creating a life fueled by their desires. Vince has over 30 years of experience training and coaching people in personal growth, leadership, and transformation. He founded Imagine Miracles to educate and train people of all walks of life on how to discover, design, and create their miracle life. Vince wrote and produced the Your Miracle Life series of online training programs and associated workshops based on the CREATE model and unique purpose formula. He's been featured on Fox, CBS, NBC, and ABC. Vince, welcome to the show.
Dr. Richard, it is so great to be here. I'm excited to spend a few minutes with you, just sharing with the world what I've got to offer.
Well, we know that what you have to offer is fantastic. And as you know, I like to start with stories. I like to start in the beginning and find out why people do the things that they do to make the world a better place. Let's start with the beginning for you, Vince, and where this spark first originated.
Well, it's very interesting because it started very, very early in my life. And I believe we all have an idea of what we're here for when we're younger. And then we just have opportunities to forget as we start living life and learning from the people around us. But back when I was 5 years old, I used to lay in the grass and look up at the sky and watch the airplanes fly over. And I knew I wanted to fly airplanes. And I also told the grown-ups around me that I wanted to help people love themselves. So way back at 5 years old, I really knew what my two passions in life were going to be: flying airplanes and helping people. And it started back then, but shortly after, actually the flying dream went away fairly quickly, about 7 years old, when I was a Cub Scout and went up flying with our den, and the pilot just scared us by stalling the airplane out. And I won't go into that because I've got so much I want to share today. But, I gave up the dream of flying. And then also that's about the same time that where the men in my life, especially my grandfather, started telling me what I was supposed to be and how it looked to be a man. And I really learned from the 40s, 50s, 60s male upbringings what it was to be a man. Big boys don't cry. You got to compete at all costs. If you're not number one, you're nothing. That's the things that I learned as a child and up through my teen years. And I learned very well. I became very successful in my life, director level at a Fortune 100 company. I'm still a commercial airline pilot. I had a very prestigious military career. All of that came from what I learned from my grandfather and my father, and I really learned how to be that tough man. But kind of like you in your car accident, I had a couple wake up calls in my life, and that's what really propelled me to start going in the direction and back into the direction of wanting to help people love themselves. The first was 9/11, and we all experienced that. But it was really close to home for me because I lost a very good friend, Jason Dowell, who was the captain of Flight 93 that crashed in Pennsylvania. And the interesting thing was I flew Flight 93 exactly a week prior. So if it would have been 9/4, that would have been me in Pennsylvania. But once again, I was a good student of Grandpa, and I just kind of brushed it off and, it's never going to happen to me type of thing. I'm too good for that. What I learned through growing up my teenage years, that I could overcome anything and anyone. So I pressed on. Then 2003, United Airlines goes bankrupt, and everything that I believed about how the corporate world and how it's supposed to work. You go to work for a company and you do everything that you're supposed to, and you build your retirement, and then you retire and you have the life that you're supposed to have. Unfortunately, when the bankruptcy happened, I lost a large amount of stock. I took a 60% pay cut, and I lost my retirement. And now all of a sudden I'm out there trying to figure out exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be, because my definition of being a man was just destroyed. But once again, I just bought a business, and I was going to make my retirement back, and I was going to support my family like I was supposed to, following the rules the way that I was taught to. But there was still something missing in my life, just eating at me. But I still just moved on. And then in 2006, my wife came to me and told me that she wasn't happy and wanted a divorce. And it caught me by complete surprise, and I was absolutely devastated. But that's what got my attention, and I finally decided that I was going to find out what was missing. And thank goodness there's people like you and Jack Canfield in the world, because I found Jack and went to a Breakthrough to Success workshop with Jack. And during that workshop, Jack did a guided meditation that took us into finding our purpose. And in that guided meditation, I finally figured out what was missing. And that was me and that little boy who wanted to help people love themselves. And the rest has just been history. I've been learning and growing and going to the masters and putting programs together and really stepping out into helping people find out who they are and their unique purpose, their gifts in the world, and how they should share them.
Vince, I love your share, and it's a common thing that I've heard time and time again. It's that little voice was always there, that 5-year-old boy who is dreaming, staring up at the planes, wanting to help others. That was always there. And via kind of societal expectations forced upon you by the important people in your life, you pushed that voice down. And then 2006, after your divorce, that came back and started ringing out loud and true for you.
That's for sure. You bet.
So talk to us a little bit about, because what I find so interesting about you is that, you definitely have dedicated yourself now to helping people really become this unique creator of what they're doing in your life. But you haven't forgotten what you've learned from your time flying and in the military. So talk to us about how a military veteran and a pilot is able to implement some of those things in what you refer to as that soft field of self-help?
What I love about what I've learned through my process is that although we believe that someday somebody's going to knock on the door and tell us what our purpose is, there's all kinds of clues, and we have all the answers inside of us on what our purpose is. And some of those clues is just looking back at the life that we've lived to this point, because we've always been living on purpose. We've always been right there where we were supposed to be. We just haven't noticed it. So in my military career, I learned a lot of discipline that's required to do the coaching work that I do. I learned to listen to people. I learned to see people in the way that they are, and from all aspects, and how different people are motivated. Also, my military career is really where I learned to be a platform instructor. And that helped me tremendously. And I carried that into the flying world. I've been an instructor at United Airlines for most of my career there, and I really learned how people learn. I learned to see on their faces when they were getting it and where they weren't getting it, and how to teach them in the way that they needed to be taught. So that and many other things that have happened in my life all have come together to help me build my unique talents, to really find those gifts that I have to offer the world. And our company's called Imagine Miracles, and imagine because with thought and feeling is how you create your life, and that's imagine. But miracles is really sharing your love with the world through your gifts and talents, so they can share their gifts and talents. So, it's all come together that everything I've done through my life is what I'm here to give people. And now I found a new avenue to do it in a way that really helps people find themselves.
I love that. And so let's talk about, for somebody listening to this, maybe somebody who's new to the show and they're tuning in because they want to become the best versions of themselves and live their miracle life. How do we get there?
Well, I've got a really interesting outlook on it, and it's because I've really learned from some of the most amazing people in my mind in the world. Anyhow, people like Joe Dispenza and John Maxwell and Bruce Lipton, Debbie Ford. I've looked at all different aspects of it, and what I did was I took all this information that I've learned and some insight that intuitively came to me, and I put together a formula. It's called Your Unique Purpose Formula. And it's really 5 questions to ask yourself to find your purpose, your unique purpose. And your unique purpose is the quintessence of you, that energy that you put out without even knowing you're doing it. It's your gift. It's the gift that you have to share with the world, all your unique talents coming together. And then it's your divine intent or your mission, what you're here to do. And these 5 questions, one of the most important things for me, Dr. Richard, is to share with people that you are the creator of your reality. No one else can create what is in front of you. And you're the only one that knows your answers. The most interesting thing to me is we believe that because this person's successful, if we just follow what they do or act the way they do, that it will take us in the direction we want. We'll find the happiness that we desire. We'll find the health that we want to have. We'll find the abundance. And yes, there's great role models out there, and take all that information, but you still have to bring it in and make it you, and you have to discover who you are. So the 5 questions are: where am I? Who am I? What do I have to offer? Why am I here? And then how do I live my purpose? And that's the basis of my first online program that I provide people, as well as our first live event. It's just helping people find different avenues to find those answers in themselves.
I love that. And so for somebody who's listening to this and perhaps they don't know They know where they are. They know that they're stuck and they know that they're frustrated. But maybe they don't see those gifts, those inherent gifts that you stated that we resonate without even trying. How do we find out what those are if we have been living a life which has been frustrating to us and we are unable to recognize those talents?
Well, the interesting thing is the question, where am I, is really the best place to start for even that, because we know we're stuck, but do we know why we're stuck? And that's where am I takes us. We go in and we get to know the ego, or we get to know our personality. And that's the same thing. And the ego had a very negative connotation to me, but I've learned to become a partner with mine. And then also, what's my beliefs and where did those beliefs come from? So that's a really great place to start. But when you're talking about gifts and talents, where I like to start with that is just starting to look at, what do I enjoy doing in life? And why do I enjoy doing it? What am I good at? And why am I good at them? Because if you start looking at those things, you really start looking back at your life and see where you have built gifts and talents that come together that make you unique. And I've got a lot of questions from my clients that, well, everybody does this and everybody does that. Well, first of all, not everybody does it. Second of all, not everybody does it the way you do it. But really, when you take the combination of what you do and how you do it and what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, you bring that combination together. That's what makes you unique. And one of the things that I really want to share with the audience, Dr. Richard, is that doesn't mean that you find these things out and then you have to change jobs, and that's the way I'm going to live my purpose. Most of us are in a job right now that we're already living our purpose some way or another. And once we find out what that purpose is, now we start finding joy in doing it. We start finding joy in being able to share in our unique way in that environment. And of course, there's some people that, wow, I'm just in the wrong place and I need to expand, or I just have reached my potential here and need to expand. But I want people to know, when you start talking about your purpose, don't think that it's going to be a life-changing, job-changing thing, because most of my clients are afraid to step out because I can't leave my job. I need the money. Well, let's find your purpose and let's live it in that place that you are right now.
Hey guys, Dr. Richard here. For the past 7 years, I've been privileged to bring you incredible guests who are changing the world and can help you become the best version of yourself. I'm really excited to share with you a new quiz that I created based on my clinical training that will curate for you a custom list of my top episodes and actionable strategies to help you wherever you are on your journey. All you need to do is go to drrichardschuster.com to take it, and it's 100% free. You'll be taking the next step on the journey to unlocking the power of you, and I can't wait to see where you'll go.
That's a really interesting perspective, Vince, because you hear really there's two camps. One is the burn the sales camp, right? Like it doesn't matter how much money you have, you go for it and you obliterate anything other than having to have success. Whereas the other camp is you kind of slow drip your passion and you feed it until you can walk away from a job you don't like. But what I like about what you're sharing is it's a little bit different in that what you're saying is find ways in which your current work situation lines up with your passion, which is the best of all worlds, because we can still always move forward with creating other entrepreneurial ventures. But if you can find a way to make the job that you have framed as, frustrating or difficult into something that is in line with your passions, you'll be happier doing that too. And that's really the best solution. I love that.
Well, I'm a big quantum physics guy. And one of the things, when I go deep into my story is, I've found a way to bring spirituality and science together, and there's really no difference. And quantum physics tells us there are no mistakes, there are no coincidences. So where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. And when you can embrace that, that's when things are really going to start out in the direction that you want them to go. And now you don't have to really reach into some places where most of us have fears, the fear of changing a job, or the fear of going into something new, and I might not be able to handle that. So it's really realizing that you created the life that you have right now, and it's your birthright to take advantage of it and live the life that you're supposed to live. And that doesn't mean giving up anything at all. It's your birthright to have that abundance. It's your birthright to be healthy. It's your birthright to enjoy life. And I just want everybody to find that.
And no doubt that people listening to this are going to take your information and learn from it, and hopefully find their own unique path to abundance. And I want to revisit something that's interesting, because you mentioned that after 2006, when you went to a Jack Canfield seminar, that's what really was the rebirth for you, or the awakening for you, I guess is a better way of phrasing it. And yet, flash forward to 2017, you're authoring a book with Jack Canfield. How did that happen?
Oh, it's so amazing. It was just an opportunity that came my way to put a piece of me into something that Jack was producing. And, what an amazing opportunity for someone to get a call saying, would you be interested in writing a chapter that goes into your mentor's next book? And it was a perfect book for me to really dive into. The book is called Mastering the Art of Success. And the chapter that I wrote in it is about creating your miracle life. And I just delve into some of the 4 things that people don't know that are really keeping them from living their miracle life. And the big one is they don't know what they want. And it was, definitely was meant to be, because that's what Jack helped me find in my life, what I really wanted.
Pretty wild. And you kind of gave us a tease there, and I want to stay with this book. You mentioned the 4 things that are preventing people from getting what they want, and you just mentioned one. Would you mind walking us through the other 3?
You bet, no problem. So the first one is you don't know what you want. The second one is you don't know how to get it. Third, you don't know what's going to get in the way. And then you don't know how to move beyond what gets in the way.
So if you don't know what you want, obviously that's the biggest problem, because you're basically kind of circling the drain a little bit. But once you know what you want, how do you get it? If you don't know how you get it, how do you figure that out?
Well, that goes back to the quantum physics world, and a lot of the work I've done with Dr. Joe Dispenza. Like I said earlier, we create our lives with thoughts and feelings. And I was just recently listening to one of your podcasts with Sean Swarner, and you were discussing in there about how it's what you think about is what you're going to attract in your life. So if you're thinking about not having, let's just say, you want, we'll do a material thing, although I work with people to look more at the intrinsic things. But let's say you want a new car. If you're spending all your time thinking of not having that car, or how terrible the current car that you have, that's what you attract into your life, and your emotions flow into, what you don't have. So we use imagination and some imagination exercises to really put the energy out there, or to put the vibration or the frequency out there to help you attract those things in your life that you want. So what thoughts are you thinking, and how do you look at your thoughts and feelings and bring those together so you're vibrating out into the world to attract what you want?
It's interesting, Vince, because this is something that a lot of people have talked about. A large number of us are familiar with the law of attraction, and then of course there's different camps on that. Some say that it works, other people say that it's nonsense. But you've talked a little bit, you've teased it just a couple times about quantum physics. So talk to us about quantum physics and how that really comes into play. And when you talk about there are no accidents and we attract things and energy and vibrations, talk to us about what science has proven to be true about that.
Well, the big things with science, especially the quantum world, and I can't believe we're not teaching it in school yet, but the big thing is the observer effect. Who's observing what is happening really controls that person's reality. So it's what's stored in you and how you look at the circumstances around you, based on your belief system, based on your personality that protects you, is really how you look at a situation, and that situation drives certain emotions. So what quantum physics teaches us is that the energy that we put out into the world is the same type of energy that we're going to attract back. So we want to put out the energy of having what we want, of feeling like we have that. So those two thoughts and feelings going out is what attracts things in. But what I'd really like to share, Dr. Richard, about the law of attraction is really just taking it a little bit further. First of all, the last 6 letters of attraction is action. So it's not just thinking what you want or putting it out there, but it's putting it out there in a way, first of all, that you believe that it's going to come back to you, and you're putting out the positive energies and not the lack energies. But also, and this is something that we teach in all our programs, is to listen for the nudges, to listen for the directions to take, to listen for your next best step from the inside, because that's where the answers come from. And unfortunately, so many people through the law of attraction are just telling everybody what they want and telling everybody how they're going to get it in a way that they think that mind energy being put out into the universe is going to bring that in. But actually where it needs to come from is the mind and the heart. And when you figure out that that's where everything's coming from, and you start listening for your next direction, and then taking those last 6 letters, action, when you get that nudge, that's when you start really creating the life that you want.
It's interesting. I've heard that said before, that a law of attraction is really just a law of action and attraction. It is when we take massive action that we're able to bring these elements into our lives that we're hoping for. So that to hear that quantum science echoes that is very, very interesting.
There's so much that really brings science, spirituality, day-to-day life together, that my hope is down the road that, and I'm going to be a big proponent and help out in that world, is to bring some of this information into our schools, help kids understand why they're living the lives that they're living, help them also know how to create the life that they want, instead of, like many of us, getting into our 40s and 50s and all of a sudden have this big aha and need to go back and start looking at the beliefs that we've lived our lives for up to this point.
Right. No, that's makes a lot of sense, and awesome that you want to start implementing that in schools. It's certainly needed in today's society. Vince, again, that sounds so amazing, particularly the piece with working with kids in the future. But talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now to bring all of this into the lives of others.
Well, Dr. Richard, my wife and I, Mary, has started a company called Imagine Miracles. And through Imagine Miracles, we put together not just your unique purpose formula, but we've also put together the CREATE model. And it's a step-by-step process to go through to be conscious of who you are and then learn to embrace that part of you, reframe any beliefs, learn to become a partner with the ego. So then we can step into the world of vibration and frequency. I can teach you some information about how you put the vibration out into the world and how to raise your frequency to do that. And then from there, we really step into that imagination piece. We teach you how to transform your life by creating what you want out there in the universe and then learning how to bring it from manifestation into materialization. It's much easier than it sounds. I'm not the quantum physics guy that stands at the board and puts the formula up and makes you learn the formula. I want to bring it into your day-to-day life and help you understand how science is supporting you being who you are. And then the last one is to empower yourself. Surround yourself with the community that will help you live the life that you're supposed to live and to continue to bring things into your life to help you expand and grow and learn more, because that's where your empowerment comes from. And then the last piece of empower is to empower others, because in empowering others, that's where you get the energy flowing back to you that you've given to them. And that's where all the joy, that's where the satisfaction, that's where the true expansion will come from in multitudes. And it's based in a year-long program where we spend time with you one-on-one. We spend time with you in groups to really help you get the concepts and bring them into your life.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Vince, where can people find you?
A couple different places, Dr. Richard. First of all, vincekramer.net, and then imaginemiracles.net. And then any of the social media platforms, you can find me at Vince Kramer. But would you mind if I shared something with the audience?
Sure, go right ahead.
Excellent. First of all, we talked about the book earlier, and I would love to give everyone a free download of the book chapter.